Picture a Monday morning meeting. On one side of the table, a 28-year-old who has already redesigned the process in her head and cannot understand why nobody will just try it. On the other side, a 54-year-old who watched 3 versions of the same idea fail and is quietly wondering if anyone in this room remembers that. The meeting started at 9. By 9:15, the tension was already there. The senior manager wanted weekly status reports in writing. The junior employee thought a quick Slack message covered it. Neither one understood why the other was frustrated. And by the end of the day, both were venting to their friends about how impossible the other generation is to work with. Sound familiar? Neither of them is wrong. Neither of them is the villain. But they are talking past each other. And they have been for years. Today we are not picking a side. Today we're going into the workplace, the one space where generational differences collide every single day. And we're going to figure out what's actually going on and what we can actually do about it. The clash in real time, what each side actually sees. First, let's be honest about something. Generational workplace conflict isn't new. Every generation has had to figure out how to work alongside people who learn to work differently. What's different now is the pace of change. In the last 20 years, the way we work has transformed more than in the previous 100. Remote work, digital collaboration, flat hierarchies, purpose-driven employment, the gig economy. These shifts happened so fast that different generations absorbed completely different lessons about what work is supposed to look like. Here's what the older worker sees. A younger colleague who wants flexibility before they have earned it, who challenges decisions in public instead of privately, who seems more interested in what the job offers them than in what they can build within it. Older workers often learned, show up, put in the hours, earn your place, trust the structure. And here's what the younger worker sees. A senior colleague who mistakes familiarity for wisdom, who defends old systems because they built them, not because they still work, who confuses compliance with competence. Younger workers often learned, be efficient, speak up, challenge the structure if it isn't working, demand meaning. Both of these pictures are real, and both of them are incomplete. What looks like entitlement in a younger employee often looks like self-advocacy in someone who learned early that waiting politely does not pay off. What looks like rigidity in a senior employee often looks like institutional memory, a hard-won map of where the landmines are buried. The behaviors are real. The interpretations are where we go wrong. When they collide without context, the result is frustration on both sides. What work used to promise? The deal that no longer exists. To understand why older workers and younger workers see the workplace so differently, you have to understand the deal that used to exist. When older workers push back on younger employees, when they ask for more formality, more deference, more face time, they're not always being controlling. Sometimes they're trying to protect the standards they fought to earn, protect institutional knowledge that they know matters, protect younger workers from mistakes they've already seen happen. The senior employee who seems rigid about the process, they might have watched the last 5 people who ignored that process fail spectacularly. Their caution is earned. Their frustration, even when expressed poorly, often comes from a real place of caring about outcomes. We lose something when we dismiss that as stubbornness. For most of the 20th century, the promise was clear. Give us your loyalty. Give us your years. Give us your best work. And in return, we will give you stability, upward mobility, a pension, a retirement that means something. That deal shaped an entire generation's relationship with work. It shaped how they measured effort, how they defined professionalism, how they understood what it meant to be a good employee, and then the deal changed. Pensions disappeared. Lifetime employment became a punchline. Layoffs became a quarterly earnings tool, not a last resort. The company stopped holding up its end of the bargain, but nobody updated the cultural memory. So, older workers, shaped by a world where loyalty was rewarded, still measure newer employees against a standard that the system itself no longer supports. That is not hypocrisy. That is grief, wearing the mask of frustration. What work means now, the rational response. And on the other side, when younger employees push for flexibility, for transparency, for the ability to work differently, they're not trying to tear anything down. They're trying to build something they can actually sustain. Younger workers did not arrive at their relationship with work through laziness. They arrived at it through observation. They watched their parents give 30 years to a company and get a cardboard box and 2 weeks of severance. Gen Z and millennials have watched burnout devastate entire generations. They've seen what happens when people sacrifice everything for a company that doesn't reciprocate. They graduated into a recession that told them the rules do not apply to you the way they applied to everyone else. They watched loyalty go unrewarded repeatedly. So they adapted. When a 26-year-old says she needs work-life balance, she is not being soft. When she asks for mental health days, or question the point of a meeting that could have been an email, they're not being lazy. They're being strategic. They want to do good work. They want to contribute. They just want to do it in a way that doesn't cost them their health. That's not a generational defect. That's actually wisdom. She is applying a rational response to a system that showed her clearly that the company will not protect her. When a 31-year-old changes jobs every 2 years, he is not being disloyal. He is doing what the data told him to do. Because staying stopped being the path that paid off. And it shows up in ways that go beyond the office. Younger generations are finishing school later, starting careers later, and choosing to have children later, if at all, right now. Not because family does not matter to them, but because the math does not work yet. You do not bring a baby into a studio apartment when you're still paying off the degree that was supposed to open doors. You do not start a family when 2 incomes barely cover rent. Older generations sometimes read this as a shift in values. What it actually is a shift in sequence. Career first, stability first, then family. Because that is the order the economy demands right now. This is not cynicism. This is adaptation. And adaptation is exactly what every generation before them did. The bridge, what both sides are really asking for. Here is what nobody says out loud in the Monday morning meeting. The 54-year-old who seems resistant to change is often someone who has watched good ideas die because they were introduced the wrong way. He is not protecting the old system. He is protecting himself from the exhaustion of investing in something that will not last. And the 28-year-old who seems impatient is often someone who has been told to wait her turn in a system that keeps moving the turn. She is not disrespecting experience. She is asking, is there actually a place for me here? Underneath the clash, both of them want the same thing, to be taken seriously. To have their contribution mean something, to work somewhere that sees who they actually are, not just what generation they belong to. That is not a generational need. That is a human one. What actually works? 3 things that change the room. So what do? What actually changes the dynamic? Here's what the research and real-world experience consistently points to. Not sensitivity training. Not a company-wide memo about generational differences. 3 things. First, separate the behavior from the label. Before you call someone entitled or rigid, ask what they are actually trying to accomplish. The behavior almost always makes sense when you understand the experience behind it. Second, share the context, not just the conclusion. Senior employees, when you say no, explain why. Not to justify yourself, to transfer the knowledge. The map of where the landmines are is only useful if someone else can read it. Third, ask what someone needs before telling them what to do. The most effective leaders we have seen across every industry are not the ones who gave the best advice. They are the ones who ask the best questions. What do you need to do your best work here? That question costs nothing. And the answer changes everything. The workplace clash between generations is not inevitable. It is the result of a system that changed its promises without ever explaining why. Understanding that does not make the frustration disappear, but it gives us a different place to start. Before you go, think of one person at work from a different generation whose style has frustrated you. Now think about what they might be trying to protect, or what they might be afraid of losing. That is not excusing the behavior. That is understanding where it comes from. And that is where real conversations begin. Drop your experience in the comments. We read every single one. This is GenSync TV. Different generations, one future. We will see you next Friday.